Shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to you brothers out there that's listening and learning and supporting the ministry, and shalom to the sisters as well. This video is entitled, man, why is that like that? Jacob is in a low place and Edom on high. Case study, Brazil. Before I get into it, if there's anyone out there on the comment board, can you just confirm that the audio is and the video is coming through fine, because I want to make sure that everything's processing properly, because I've switched the DVR on, because I'm going to be using some footage from the BBC, which I think is going to be legit. However, it could cause some issues and they might take the video down, whereby I'll be able to just go back and edit that part out and still get the majority information out. Just double check. I just want to make sure everything's processing and coming through clear before we get into it, because I've been looking to bring this information out for a while. Yeah. Fuck this up. Also, all the links and the videos that I'm going to be using in this presentation is going to be in the description box if you want to go read over that for yourself. I mean, the preview here looks good. Hopefully it should be alright, man. It should be alright. Okay, so let's begin. So basically, you know, the reason why I chose Brazil for this is the point is that you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, and your descendants scattered the four corners of the earth, you are the Israelites, and you are in a cursed condition unto this very day. Okay, you are a people which is robbed and spoiled according to what the scriptures say. You are a people which is only oppressed, that has to go to your enemy in the want of all things. Okay, and you reside in the lowest socio-economic group wherever you live, wherever you are, whether you're in America, whether you're in South America, whether you're in the Caribbean, whether you're in England, whether you're in France. You reside in the lowest socio-economic groups, which is part of the curses. Now, one of the reasons why I chose Brazil to case study this is that you got so-called Negroes out there that try and teach that the natives of the Americas are not Israelites, based on saying that they have their own countries and control over their own countries. You know, which is a lie. All right, the natives of Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, they have no control over their so-called countries, which those countries are really corporations set up by Edomites. Those countries didn't exist before. Okay, they have no control over them countries, and they live in low conditions in their own lands, which really don't belong to them. That's why I've chosen Brazil in this case study, to show you that, look, man, really and truly, Edomites control the whole of South America. They control America, they control Britain, they control England. Anywhere where our people are, it's really controlled by Edomites and their descendants. So we're going to get into it in this case study. All right. So the first thing I want to do, I want to go to my bookmarks here. So let me share my screen. Hey, Shalom, Makwalat. Yabashim Shai Brakatah. Okay. I want to go to my bookmarks. I got a few things bookmarked here. Let me share my screen before I forget. Alright, so I got a few things here. Now the first thing is we got to understand there's something known as white Brazilians, because everyone that calls himself everyone that calls himself a Brazilian is an Israelite. Many Brazilians are Israelites, but many Brazilians are not Israelites. Many Brazilians are actually Edomites. And a lot of them find themselves under the bracket of being known as white Brazilians. Okay, so I want to just get this particular link and we're going to have a look at this, okay? White Brazilians refers to Brazilian citizens of European and Levantine descent. Okay, you got a lot of Brazilians that are actually of so-called European and Levantine descent. Okay, and the majority of those people are actually Edomites. Now some of them are going to be Israelites that were scattered in Europe, that were scattered in the Levant, but a lot of them are actually Edomites, right? They're nothing to do with the native peoples that lived in Brazil, which are the tribe of Asher. Now it says here, according to the 2010 census, they totaled 91 million people and made up 47.73% of the Brazilian population. So a lot of these Brazilians are not natives. Now, like I said, you're going to have some people that might identify themselves through their mother or whatever as being white Brazilian. But to the most part, a lot of these people that are deemed white Brazilians are actually Edomites. They're Edomite Brazilians, okay? The main ancestry of white Brazilians is Portuguese, all right? Because you had Edomites that gained supremacy in Portugal. Because you had Israelites that were ruling and living in Portugal, but then you had Edomites that were living there, and they, in the end, took over Portugal and have the supremacy. And these are the people that established and ran the transatlantic slave trade. Right, so the main ancestry of white Brazilians is Portuguese, followed by Italians, Spanish, German and other German-speaking nationalities, Austrian, Swiss and Luxembourg, Slavic, Polish, Ukrainian and Russian, Levantine, Dutch, French and Baltic. And like I said, a lot of these are Edomites. The white Brazilian population is spread throughout the national territory, but its highest percentage is found in the 3 southernmost states, where 79.8% of the population have European or Caucasian phenotype, meaning they even look like Edomites, whereas the southeast region has the largest absolute numbers. The states with the highest percentage of white citizens or Edomite citizens are Santa Catarina, 88.96%, Rio Grande do Sul, 85.3%, Paraná, 79.24%, and Sao Paulo, 73.4%. Other states with significant rates are Rio de Janeiro, 58.8%, Mato Grosso do Sul, and it goes on and it goes on. Alright? So we have to understand that. Alright, you have Brazilians that are of European, mainly Edomite ancestry, but they call themselves Brazilians. Alright, we have to understand that. And this goes not just for Brazil, but for Mexico, but for Colombia, Uruguay. Well, damn near the majority of people from Uruguay are of European descent. Now that's not saying none of them are Israelites. That's saying you got a whole lot of Edomites down in Uruguay. You look up that country, Uruguay, that's a straight up European colony right there. Alright, check that out. But you are going to have Israelites among them too. And that goes into the parable of the wheat and the tares. So what I'm trying to say is, in Brazil, in Colombia, in these different South American countries, you got a lot of tares, man. You got a lot of people there that have citizenry in those countries, but they're really the descendants of Edomites. And what you'll find is they make up predominantly the chief socio-economic positions within those countries. Alright, that's what you're going to find out, because they're Edomites and they're not under the curses. Alright, so that was white Brazilians, so-called white Brazilians. I want to get another one. Alright, race and ethnicity in Brazil. So it says here, in Brazilian society is made up a confluence of people of several different origins, from the original native Brazilians. Now, the original native Brazilians, to the most part, are what? Asher, the tribe of Asher. Okay, you go to the 12 tribes chart, you go to Asher, you will find from the Colombians to the Uruguayans are Asher. The natives, they were of the tribe of Asher. Okay, if you want to know more information about that, there's videos going into that on one channel is Israel's Sons Found, and the apostles and elders, they break down the different tribes going into South America. Okay, let me just check the comment board, make sure we all good. Right, we all good. All right, so let's jump back to this article. It says here, with the influx of Portuguese colonizers, mainly Edomites, Black African, which represents what? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Israelites, and Europeans, other Edomites, Arabs. Now, some of these Arabs were Ishmael, but some of these Arabs were actually Edomites. Well, you're going to find out a lot of these Arabs that came from the Levant into Brazil were actually Edomites from the Middle East. Okay, Japanese immigrants. So you got Ammonites, but then some of them Ammonites could be Israelites too, and they'll be under the curses. Other significant groups include Koreans, Chinese. Okay, again, that's Moab, but some of them might be, Israelites that were scattered among Moab too. Some of them are brought over there in slavery. All right, you could check that information out. Paraguayans and Bolivians, more Israelites. Okay, Paraguayan, native Paraguayans and Bolivians, another part of South America. It said Brazil has seen greater racial equality over time. According to recent review study, there's been major, albeit uneven, progress in these terms since slavery, which is unfortunately not wholly translated into equality of income. What that basically means is the same people that had a high socio-economic status during hardcore slavery are the same people that their descendants are the ones enjoying the higher socio-economic status today. That's not changed. Okay, only in 2010 did the black to white income ratio eclipse its 1960 level, although it appears to be at an all-time high. Education and migration were important factors in closing the gap, whereas school quality and discrimination may explain persistence. Curses, okay, and then it will go into where a lot of the so-called African slaves that now inhabit Brazil, a lot of them are Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, came from. They came from West Africa, mainly Angola and such places. Salakia, okay, I'll be right back. Oh, damn. Anyone here? Salakia, I have to check that, okay? Mainly Angola. You lot of them Angolans are Israelites, okay? They come from particular tribes: Yoruba, the U, the Fanti, the Ashanti, okay? And they were moved into a territory inhabited by various indigenous tribal populations, right? So basically, you had the southern kingdom of Israel being brought over to serve captivity right next to the northern kingdom, okay? So we got to understand that. And like I said, these things are not set in stone because there's been a bit of mixing among them. So you're going to have people on either side of so-called description, what they tick when they go to work, whether they're black, blah, blah, that might be on, tears and so forth. But to the most part, okay, generally, okay, social apartheid. I want to get this article. This is social apartheid in Brazil. The term social apartheid has been used to describe various aspects of economic inequality in Brazil, drawing a parallel with the legally enforced separation of whites, Edomites, and blacks in South African society for several decades during the 20th century apartheid regime. The idea contradicts the notion of racial democracy. Okay. Income inequality. Check this out. Origins, okay. According to Maria Helena Morevo Alves, early 20th century inequalities between rich and poor in Brazil were exacerbated by the differing treatment of urban migrants during and following the Great Depression. Internal migrants, mainly Israelites, who were mainly descended from Amerindians or African slaves, so that's the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, they were members of the 12 tribes, were given no government assistance or training in adapting to large urban centers. They became concentrated in a kind of social apartheid, okay? They languish in the lowest socio-economic status, living in slums and taking menial and unpleasant jobs shunned by whites, Edomites. By contrast, European, Arab, and Japanese immigrants who tended to be better educated were directly assisted by a number of government programs, including some sponsored by their national governments, as well as other benefits. And it goes into the income equality, and you can read all about that. Racial and class inequality, you can read all about that. The social economic is generally that people of so-called black, so-called Hispanic or Israelite native descent languish in the lowest socio-economic groups, whereas the descendants of the Edomites are at the top. And that goal, like I said, this is a case study in Brazil, but this can be applied to damn near every South American country. All right, and this is the story of Jacob, and it goes back to the scriptures, it goes back to the curses. All right, this is I'm gonna jump Deuteronomy 28:15. All right, it says, but it shall come to pass if thou, now this was a curse which was going to befall all the 12 tribes, okay? But it shall come to pass if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city. Now, didn't we just read how the people of the Amerindians, so-called descent, and Negroid descent, they were cursed in the city? And cursed shalt thou be in the field, in the world. Cursed shalt thou be thy basket and thy store. The economic inequality. Cursed shalt be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land and the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, when you're born into this world, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. When you die, you leave nothing. And even it goes when you leave your house and when you come back. Nothing changes. And the Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me, because our people forsook the covenant. You know, and we all know about the diseases that ran rampant among our people over there in the Americas when the Edomites came over there. Again, that was part of the curses. Deuteronomy 28:21, that the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. Okay, now I want to jump down to the verse 43. It says, well, you know what, man? I might have to start. I'll start from verse 37, okay? And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in. for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast his fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. You see it there. All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger, now this is the key. The stranger, what does it mean by a stranger? Another nation, someone who is not an Israelite, that is within thee, shall get up above thee very high, meaning you, and thou shalt come down very low. So wherever the Israelites are, heathens and other nations tend to rise to the higher socio-economic status within that situation, and Israel tends to drop down. And you could look at anywhere our people are, that's the case. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. Okay, in order to lend, you got to have resources to begin with. And Jake don't have no resources to lend any damn way. Because there, according to Isaiah the 42nd chapter, there are people that have been robbed and spoiled. The only thing Jake has is his hands to work with. That's about it. Jake don't have no land. Jake don't have no capital. He got to borrow to get capital. All right? He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So in Brazil, where you're going to find out that the heads of Brazil, let's forget about the Edomites that control Brazil from outside of Brazil. Within the country, the overseers who work for them, who take their cut, they're all Edomites too. The majority of them, they're Edomites that are overseeing the plantation. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. And our people are destroyed. We have a grievous wound, man. We cannot by our own selves remove ourselves from the socio-economic positions that we languish in America, in Brazil, in Colombia, in England. You come to England, as much as these jakes want to act like they're all big and bad, in England, you go to any inner city area, the people who live there are you descendants of the Benjamites, and a lot of Israelite foreigners, a lot of so-called white people that look like Israelites, man. A lot of Irish, because it's a curse that's upon our people. You got a lot of these Bangladeshis, man. A lot of them are Israelites too. You got a lot of Bangladeshis, man. They all up in the ghettos too, right next to Jake. A lot of them are Israelites too. That's why they're under them curses. All right. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. So anywhere you go in the world, man, you go to the lowest socio-economic place, status, you're going to find a lot of Israelites there. You go to China, a lot of them people in China that are living real low, a lot of them are Israelites, man. Scattered among them. And they're under them curses. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever. As they say in the islands, generation curses. Now, let me hit the comment board. Okay, we're good. What I want to do is, I want to play a clip from a documentary called Brazil, An Inconvenient History. Because when most people think of Brazil, they think of the music and they see Jacob in there dancing. And what they don't understand is Brazil is a very fucked up place to be an Israelite, man. Alright, it's not what it looks like on the holiday brochure. Alright? Point blank, period. So I want to play this clip, and this is the clip I'm gonna have problems with. But I think whoever uploaded this, they've doctored it enough that the BBC don't pick up on it. Which I'm using it for non-profit reasons, man, for educational reasons. Okay, I'm not making profit from this, BBC. So allow me now. Okay, let me play this for you, Arkham, and listen to what this guy says in this documentary very carefully. because this is the truth. This is the truth regarding Brazil and regarding the Israelites in Brazil and regarding the Edomites that live in Brazil.
On the 13th of May, 1888, the Princess Regent Isabel proclaimed the so-called Aurea Law. Brazil became the last major country officially to abolish slavery.
Right, so what they actually abolished was the hardcore form of slavery, and this was done for economic reasons. This was not done out of the kindness of their heart. This was done purely for economics. Alright? Because Esau still to this day, he's all about economics. He's all about managing his household for his profit and his benefit. Understand that. They did not abolish hardcore slavery for the benefit of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. They did it for their own benefit and their own profit. They introduced a new system. They adapted the system, and the system still benefits them. Alright? You are still nothing more than a human resource. Let's carry on. Listen to what he says. Jake all up in Brazil, and this is what people like to see. Jake on the beach doing backflips. They don't understand them people are living in hell. They're living in squalor. They're living in favelas. Man.
It's true that this was the final Emancipation Act, but of course even after that, those who had formerly been slaves owe nothing. Were given no compensation, so on.
And that was the same, whether you want to talk about Jamaica. In Jamaica, when they ended hardcore slavery, they compensated the slave masters, the plantation owners. They didn't compensate the slaves. So what happened? The plantation owners who owned everything, the same slaves had to go to them to work, to earn money so they could feed themselves. So they became wage slaves. They went into what? Indentured servitude and all that. Nothing changes. They still remained in the same socio-economic condition because they had nothing. And when you ain't got nothing, you can't make something out of nothing, man. Even the nation of Israel, to become great, the Lord gave them capital out of Egypt and then gave them land. If you don't have land and capital, you can't do nothing. All you got is your hands. You're relying on someone to work for them. You're relying on a wage. You see, and that's why Jamaica ain't gone nowhere. All the islands, Jake ain't gone nowhere. That's why in America, Jake ain't gone nowhere. Jake is still in the lowest socio-economic group. All right. If you Google the wealth, median wealth of households by race, you, Jake, represent about $12,000 on average in wealth, and the Edomites, the so-called white man, is about $142,000. You still nowhere near the so-called white man, and this by design, okay?
So were forced to remain on the land, or to exist in other ways. In other words, although they were legally free, they were still bound economically to the land, to the mines or the other occupations that they were forced to undertake.
You see, so even they legally emancipated them, the reality of the situation was nothing had really changed. Nothing had changed. They were still under them curses. That's why the scripture says you would be spoiled and only oppressed always. You're still living under that oppression to this very day. In fact, that's in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28 and 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Let's jump back, man. What this guy is saying is hard hitting. This is the truth.
The blacks are the ones in prisons, living in the slums, not having jobs. Nowadays, they're not slaves belonging to one master. They are slaves of the system. The executioner has changed. It's much more sophisticated.
And that's what they did. Before, you were owned by private hands. Now you're ultimately owned by the state. But who owns the state? You see it there. These devils, his ain't nothing changed.
The whip is almost invisible, but it is still felt.
No country imported more slaves than Brazil. Even today, the majority of black people throughout the Americas speak Portuguese. Following abolition, there was a deliberate policy to draw in white settlers. Italians, Germans, Spaniards.
Yeah, and a lot of that was due to the slaves number was so high, they feared retribution. That's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why they started trying to get more Edomites to get the Edomite population up so they could feel more safe. Because they put hell on Jake down there in Brazil, man. They put, when you watch this documentary, they put hell. Them dudes in Portugal, man, they had a constant supply of slaves, so they didn't give a damn, man. If you live for a year and you work for them for a year, they earn their money, man. If you died, you died. They'll just buy another slave, and in a year's time, they quadruple their money sevenfold off that dude. So to lifespans down there in Brazil, they was hella short. Okay.
But almost half of today's 170 million population remains non-white.
The legacy of slavery to modern Brazil is huge. Racial inequality, the fact that the majority of blacks are poor, that they are not as well educated as...
You heard that. The majority of them are what? Poor, languishing in the lowest socio-economic group. And that's the same for every South American country. The Israelites reside in the lowest socio-economic groups, man. Same thing in America. Same thing in America. Same thing in England. Now you might want to point to one or two Israelites that happen to make their way up into the middle class or into the upper class, but look at the average, look at the numbers, man. How many neighborhoods are there filled with so-called Negroes in America in a middle class neighborhood? Come on, man. Let's keep it real. You ain't gone nowhere as a people. You're still in the same position as you always was, at the bottom.
As whites. But you also have positive results, not of slavery itself, but of the slaves. In terms of
then he's going to talk about the culture and all that bullshit we don't care about. Okay. All right. So hopefully, I like this clip is a heavy clip. Hopefully, I mean, you brothers are seeing it live. Hopefully when I re-upload this, when it processes, they allow me to keep this, because this guy, I think he's done something to this, man. Because it's hard to upload this and get away with it, man. It's hard because the BBC, they're just pricks. But anyway, man, beautiful. Let's jump back. Let me hit the comment board. Hey, Shalom, all the Arkham is tuning in. GMS Seek the Lord Kana had a book that showed Judah and Ephraim together in Brazil, but someone stole the book from me. Oh, man. Oh, boy. This is hell, brother. You know, oh, man, this is hell. When you get shit stolen from you, man, it's a terrible thing. All right. So, moving on, brothers, man. Hey, if you can watch this documentary, watch it. Okay, watch it, man. Esau did some shit over there in Brazil, man. When Esau went over to that new world, man, they turned into just complete savages, man, because they had just power and no one over them, man. The nearest powers was thousands of miles away, so they were going crazy, man. Woo! They were going crazy. But anyway, we mentioned that. Let's see if I can get some of these articles up on the social inequality, man. And like I said, I'm focusing on Brazil, but this applies to all these countries, man. Whether you're talking about Mexico, man, you got a lot of these guys that are filthy rich billionaires in Mexico. You think them guys are not Israelites, man? Them dudes are Edomites, man. They're the children of conquistadors. All right, and I'm gonna show that. I'm gonna prove it too. Brazil's blind spot: racism and racial equality. Okay, so there's another article going into it. It says Brazil is one of the. Let me try and. So I want to read through this quick. It says Brazil is today one of the most multicultural and multiracial countries in the Americas. At its time of independence in 1822, it was already home to Indian, African, and Portuguese cultures. Okay, and the independence was all about the Edomites that had control over these countries getting more independence from their masters back in Europe. That's what it was all about. All right. It says, and to this basic mix were added millions of immigrants from other countries all over the world, blah, 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 blah. Brazilians argue that this history means that modern Brazil has been founded upon the notion of tolerance towards the ethnic and cultural other. They argue that the long history of racial mixing in Brazil means that in many cases it can be hard to determine ethnic origin with any certainty, which is true. You're going to get people that look like so-called white people in Brazil, but they're really Israelites. You're going to get people that look like Israelites, whether it be Indian or so-called nigger, but they're actually Edomites. You're going to get that. Okay, you're going to get that. What therefore takes precedent over ambiguous racial categories in Brazilian identity in such a culture is it is asserted it is rare to find evidence of racism. That's not the case. This is not a new argument by any means. The portrayal of Brazil as a harmonious melting pot of different races and cultures dates back to at least to its independence. Faced with a vast black slave population as well as a large range of Indian communities scattered the length and breadth of the nation, early Brazilian intellectuals and statesmen found themselves obliged to defend the indigenous element in national culture and assert a national identity based upon racial mixing. So they don't mind having the culture or the music or the art, but when you really look deep into it economically, there is no mixing, man. It is what it is. The Edomites are supreme. Let's read on. It says the popular novel Guarani, for example, by the 19th century writer and statesman Jose Della Alencar, tells the story of a love affair between the noble Indian Peri and Cecilia, the beautiful daughter of the Portuguese nobleman. It is this romantic communion between Indian and Portuguese which is suggested as the origin of the Brazilian nation. However, while works such as O Guarani, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, okay? I'm not Portuguese. I'm not Latin. I don't speak Latin languages, so to speak, okay? You can argue that English has derivatives of Latin, but I don't speak Brazilian or Italian, none of that. Eulogized interracial marriage in theory. In practice, Brazilians' elites were extremely concerned about the ethnic composition of the populace, particularly following the abolition of slavery in 1888. The imperative to safeguard or increase the Edomite proportion of the population also coincided with the period of rapid economic growth based primarily upon Sao Paulo, which we already showed you. Sao Paulo is a lot of Edomites there, coffee industry. As such, the Brazilian state facilitated mass Edomite European immigration in the late 19th century, with most of the immigrants during this period coming to Sao Paulo to work on the coffee plantation. Still, romantic ideas regarding multiracialism endured, emerging again in the 1940s under the guise of racial democracy, a term commonly attributed to the polymath Gilberto Freire, though it may in fact have been coined by the author Ramos in 1943. Whatever the origin, it is a concept which became influential amongst Brazilian intellectuals during this period, denoting a society characterized by racial mixing, blah 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 blah. And it's the same thing they do in America. They got what's it called, the black there's a documentary that they did. They did one for so-called blacks. They did one for and what they did one for black Americans, and they did one for Hispanics. And what they trying to do is they try and make people feel like so-called blacks and Hispanics have some kind of stake in America, when they don't. Have they contributed to America? Yes. Are they able to become actors and all this shit? Yes. Do they own any industries? Do they benefit from any industries? No. Name one industry that you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, or Native Americans own in America. Not one. You don't dominate and own any industry, including the music and the entertainment industry. You might be allowed to work in that industry, add value to that industry, to generate money for that industry, but you will not be the major beneficiary of that industry. Whether you're talking about oil, coal, IT, and no matter what industry is, the ones who are making the real money are Edomites. What the hell was the name of that documentary, man? Damn. I mean, if one of the brothers knows, damn, what the hell was the name of that documentary, man? If I could find it real quick, it's man. It is on Netflix as well. I'm sure it's on Netflix. I just wanted to, cause they've made like 2 of them. I don't want to take up the time, but they did 2 of them. They did ones for so-called Hispanics as well. The Art of Rap, Hoop Dreams. What the hell is this all about? I don't know. I can't find it, but they did one for so-called black people. They did one for so-called Hispanic people. Okay, and basically the documentaries is about making Jake feel like he's made it in America. Alright, if I find it, I'll probably do a separate video on it as an extra. But basically, that's what they do. They try and make it look like you Jakes, you fine, you've made it, you've done something. And that's the same thing they try and do in Brazil. But when you look at the numbers, when you look at the economic conditions, when you look at the facts, you'll find that there is no equality, there is no equal opportunity. Okay, it's all an illusion. Alright, I really wish I could find that documentary, but I can't. Let me check this comment board and see if anyone knows what it is. Nah, no one seems to know what it is. It's all good. It's all good. I really want to find it though, but it's all good. We'll carry on. All right. So that's that particular. All these articles are in the thing. Race and poverty in Latin America. So this is in Latin America in general. And it's the same thing. Race and poverty in Latin America, addressing the development needs of so-called African descendants. Now, a lot of these articles like to focus on the so-called African descendants, but the same thing goes to the indigenous peoples. Okay? All right? And there's a whole lot of Judah and Benjamin and Levi down there in the Americas, man. There's a whole lot of them. So you could read through this. I'm not going to read through this, but it's a known thing. This is known. This is known, okay? And notice you'll never see no charity adverts to help these people out. There's always some charity advert to help some African somewhere in Africa. And it's never in West Africa either. I'm telling you, man, this thing is crazy, okay? All right, so that was that one. Social issues in Brazil. You can come to here. Poverty in Brazil is most visually represented by the various favelas, slums in the country's metropolitan areas and remote up-country regions that suffer with economic underdevelopment and below par standards of living. Okay, and what you'll find now is the majority of people in this condition are what? Israelites. Okay, Israelites. This is the truth. All right, this is just the truth. Okay, there was one I wanted to get on so-called white Latin Americans all over the Americas. Okay, see if I can get anything quick out there. Being white history. Whew. So you got these, look how many, a lot of these countries, man, they got a lot of Edomites in there. Cuba, Argentina, you got a lot of Edomites in Argentina. Okay, tares among our people. They're going into slavery. A lot of them are going to end up in slavery. Okay, Uruguay is got a hell of a lot of Edomites over there. All right. Okay, Brazil is engulfed by ruling class corruption. Again, what did we read in Deuteronomy? Deuteronomy 28 verse 43. The stranger, the Edomite, that is within thee shall get up above thee, ruling class, very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Now let's read about the ruling class. Okay, Brazil is engulfed by ruling class corruption and the danger of subversion of democracy. Okay, the multiple remarkable crises consuming Brazil are now garnering substantial Western media attention. That's understandable given Brazil is the world's 5th most populous country and 8th largest economy. But guess who's benefiting from this age-large economy? Edomites in Brazil and Edomites outside of Brazil, not the Israelites in Brazil. Okay, its second largest city, Rio de Janeiro, is the host of this year's Summer Olympics, but much of this Western media coverage mimics the propaganda coming from Brazil's homogenized, oligarch-owned, anti-democracy media outlets, and as such is misleading, inaccurate, and incomplete. Particularly when coming from those with little familiarity with the country. There are numerous Brazilian-based Western reporters doing outstanding work. It is difficult to overstate the severity of Brazil's multi-level distress. This short paragraph yesterday from the New York Times Brazil bureau chief Simon Romero conveys how dire it is. Brazil is suffering in its worst economic crisis in decades. An enormous graft scheme has hobbled the national oil company, which is really owned by the Rothschilds. The Zika epidemic is causing despair across the Northeast, which Zika virus was caused by damage to fetuses by vaccines which were given to the mothers while they were pregnant. Okay, that whole there was no such thing as no Zika. Zika virus prior had never caused any complications in pregnancy. They simply blamed the malformed children on the Zika virus, but when you check it out, the one thing all those women had in common was they had received a new vaccine while they were pregnant, and that's what caused the malformed baby, the microcephaly. But IUIC teaches you can give your children vaccines, man. That's why the Lord's going to destroy that whole setup, okay? And just before the world heads to Brazil for the Summer Olympics, the government is fighting for survival, with almost every corner of the political system under the cloud of a scandal. Brazil's extraordinary political upheaval shares some similarities with the Trump-led political chaos in the US. A sui generis, out-of-control circus unleashing instability and some rather dark forces with a positive ending almost impossible to imagine, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if we can... So there's all kind of corruption over there. And basically you got the upper class, they control Brazil, they control the government, they control the democratic goings on. Just to cut a long story short. And basically they maneuver Brazil for themselves to profit, but the people don't profit. The Israelites that live there don't profit. And they're basically competing for who can serve the interests of their Edomite overlords back in Europe. Because they're still nothing more than a colony, okay? That's what it is. The Rothschilds, Rockefellers, they control these people from where they are in London and all that business there. Okay, and the same for Mexico, blah, 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 blah. So I just wanted to bring that out now. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. All right, I'm going to show you something. All right, I'm going to check the comment board and I'm going to show you brothers something, man. You're going to find this very interesting. We're going to get this information out here. Oh, come on, man. GMS Seek the Lord, it's an illusion, a fantasy. Yeah, and Jake, the thing is, Jake believes it, man. Jake see Mayweather on TV. They really think they made it. Not understanding that the main people that's making money out of the boxing industry are the Edomites and the corporations that they own. If Mayweather is getting 300 million, you think he's making the lion's share of the money? Hell no. Okay, hell no, man. Just imagine how much money them Edomites are making. Okay, Jake only gets the crumbs. It might be a big crumb, but it's still a crumb. Them NBA, who you think is making the most of the money out the NBA? You Negroes? Come on. Grow up. Okay, you don't own the NBA. You don't own Nike. You don't own Adidas. You don't own any industry in the world. Forget America. In the world, you Israelites do not own or control or manage or have any power over any industry. You're nothing but human resources to add value to those industries for the people who own it, which are Edomites, okay? They were swapping us around and sending Ephraim to Europe and taking Judah from Europe to America. Yeah, okay, and you got a lot of indigenous people that live over there in Spain, and guess what? They live in the ghettos in Spain, and they get talked down on by the Spanish. I know that because I meet a lot of Spanish people in England because they're fleeing because Spain is going down. You got a lot of Edomites that flee Spain, coming to London to get jobs. And you ask them, yeah, what about the people from Puerto Rico? You know, they're criminals. They're criminals. They're immigrants. They're criminals. Man, to hell with you Edomites, man. You Edomite. And I've been to Spain. A lot of you Spanish are just Edomites. Some of you are Israelites. A lot of you are just Edomites. You got no flavor. You're no different. You're gone. You're going into slavery. Okay, that's the point on that. Let me get this information, because this is beautiful right here. The 15 richest families in Brazil. Now, we're going to find out, yeah, how many of these 15 richest families in Brazil are Israelites and how many of them are Edomites. Okay, let's go through the list. Okay, and these are nothing but overseers. These are nothing but the descendants of the plantation owners and other Edomites that came up into Brazil. And they're doing the job. They're keeping the Brazil running for their overlords, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and their corporations from Europe, okay? And I'm sure probably the brother Ariella, he could go into more detail how ultimately the elites in Europe still have their hands in everything that's going on in South America. And, you know, it is what they own the oil companies and they lend the money. It's all of, you know, I'm not going to go in that deep, you know, but it is what it is, okay? It says, when the first Forbes billionaires list was published in 1987, there were just 3 Brazilians on it. Sebastian Camargo, the founder of Sao Paulo-based industrial conglomerate Camargo Korea, which also owns the well-known Havaianas brand of flip-flops. Antonio Imorio de Moraes, one of the controlling shareholders of the Grupo Votorantim, a Brazilian behemoth producer of raw materials from pulp to cement. And Roberto Marino, who built a small newspaper inherited by his father in 1925 into Latin America's largest media empire, the Global Organizations. And none of them guys that I just mentioned are Israelites, okay? Today, with the exception of Mario de Moura, the only member of the original Brazilian billionaire trio who is still alive, all the children of both Camargo and Marino are billionaires and members of some of Brazil's richest families, blah, blah, blah. Because when you go into Brazil, a lot of the richest people are actually part of a larger family, okay? Self-made billionaires, whatever, a bunch of bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Brazil is no exception, as the country's surge in wealth has created more millionaires and billionaires than ever before. Rich families are holding on to a big piece of the fight. Out of the 65 Brazilian billionaires listed by Forbes in our latest World world's billionaires list, 25 are blood relatives. So let me show you that. Let me read that again. Okay, out of the 65 Brazilian billionaires listed by the Forbes in our latest world's billionaires list, 25 are blood relatives. This is the truth. This is just how it is. 8 families have multiple members among our latest ranks. So out of the 15 people it's gonna list here, who the hell is trying to talk? Out of the 15 people it's gonna list here, all right, a lot of them come from 8 particular families in Brazil. And look, man, they're all Edomites, okay? Forbes tries whenever possible to list people individually, but some families in Brazil have billion-dollar fortunes shared by several individuals, neither of whom is a billionaire on their own and therefore not a member of our annual list. This is the case of the Odebrets, who control one of Brazil's largest industrial conglomerates and are certainly one of the richest families in the country. Some 15 family members share the fortune. The Setabulls, who are among the controllers of publicly traded Itaú Unibanco holding and others, net worths are calculated based on stock prices and currency exchange rates, blah, blah, blah. Together, the 15 richest families Brazil's are worth an estimated 122 billion, or about 5% of the country's GDP. Okay, given that Brazil's culture of family businesses results in many of the country's largest companies still being family controlled, these companies are likely to continue creating wealth for their owners. Not surprisingly, according to the ranking by Exam magazine, 6 of the 10 largest conglomerates in Brazil are family controlled. Some of these dynasties have shaped entire industries, which you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans can't do, including in media, banking, and construction. Okay, so I'm gonna jump down to this list and we're gonna have a look. Okay, so here are the 15 richest families in Brazil. Number 1, Marino. 3 brothers, all billionaires. Robert Irino Marino, João Robert Marino, Jose Marino, combined net worth 28.9 billion. Let's have a look at these people now. Let's look at this guy here. Search in Google. Okay, this is the guy here. You see his picture here, some fat cat. Early life. Eldest son of the late Roberto Marino. Let's have a look at him. Where does he come from? Roberto Marino. Roberto Marino was born in 1904 in Rio de Janeiro in Irino Marino, a publisher, and his wife, who were of Portuguese and Italian descent, respectively. He was raised a Roman Catholic and was educated in local. So, the odds are that the Marino family are nothing more than a bunch of Edomites. Okay, they're not natives, 100% not natives of Brazil. Okay, and they're not descendants of the slaves that were brought to Brazil. All right, okay, that's one family off the list. Yeah, you could be pretty sure that these guys are Edomites. Okay, Safra, 3 relatives, all billionaires: Joseph Safra, Moise Safra, and Lili Safra. Let's do it again. Let's have a look. Let's search these people. Let's see if these are indigenous people. Okay, let's see. Where are they from? Who are they? Joseph Safra, Brazilian banker. Let's look at his picture right here. This guy here. Woo. Okay. It's probably, a lot of these people probably related to the Rothschilds. Anyway, early life. Joseph Safra was born in Aleppo, Syria, to a Jewish Lebanese family. So this dude is a straight up Edomite, man. He's Amalekite. You got a lot of them so-called Jews over there in the Americas. They show you that in the movie, what was it called again, man? With The Rock. Boy, what the hell was it called? Oh, man. Pain and Gain. The guy they were trying to rob was a so-called Jew. The basis of the plot of the story, they were robbing a so-called Jew named Kershaw. He was a so-called Jew. You watch the film and you see what I'm talking about. It's a funny film minus all the gay jokes. Okay, The Rock was just fucking ridiculous in that film. But yeah, minus the gay jokes, it's a good film. All right, but basically in the film they're trying to rob a so-called Jew who's rich, who actually comes from the South America. Kershaw was born in South America country. Okay, so let's just I just wanted to bring that out. Let's jump back. Okay, where is it? Jose Safra. So these guys are Edomites, man. Dating back, they're from family with banking connections dating back to the Ottoman times and grew up in Beirut, Lebanon. The family's history in banking originated with caravan trade between Beirut, Aleppo, Alexandria, and Istanbul during the Ottoman. These dudes are Edomites, man. These dudes are Edomites, okay? These dudes, they ain't no Jakes, man. They're Edomites. All right, that's why they're in the position that they're in. Let's move on. That's 2 out of 15. Let me hit the comment boards. All right. Shalom, my brother's going to work, man. I hope you have a blessed day. Let's go through this, man. Right, number 3 on the list. Hermio de Moraes, 6 relatives, all billionaires. All right, let's search. Let's find out where these people are from. Oh, look at that. Ooh, look at this guy. Antonio Emilio de Moraes was a Brazilian businessman. Blah, blah, blah. His grandfather was the indie car series driver, Mario Moraes. Okay. Yeah. It's not the right dude, is it? Was a Brazilian businessman. Okay, but where does he come from? See, it doesn't go much into his, but he, you know what I mean? Like, more than likely, he's an Edomite, man. Straight up. Okay? More than likely. It's hard to get the information on a lot of these guys. We'll move on to the next one. Moreira Sales. Let's look at these. See what information we could dig up. Walter Moreira Sales, man. These dudes all look the fucking same. Is it gonna tell me their background, personal life? Right, maybe I gotta go to his father. It's not really giving much on him. We'll move on to the next family. Let's have a look at the Camargos. Because a lot of these guys are what you call white Brazilians, man. It's point blank, period. I'm gonna have to get the name. 3 sisters. Okay. See if we can get some information on these 3 sisters. It's in Portuguese. Can we translate? See if I could speak Portuguese. It's a lot easier because I know that information is in here somewhere. I didn't go through all these. I went through some of them. This is the company itself. See what we find. Alright, couldn't find much. Probably gonna have to go into it to get there. Probably Edomites. I'm telling you, they're all Edomites, man. When you look it up, hardly any of them you'll see will say anything about them being of any form of other descent than that. But some of them are trying to hide that. You gotta dig deeper. I just ain't got the time. Let's try these. Let's try this family here. Combined net worth. Oh yeah, you already know. Let's see if we can get these lot. Search in Google. I gotta go to this one. Okay, let's see if we can. See, they're not giving out much information on these guys at all. Some of these guys, you gotta find the ones they give information on. Let's see one's relatives. Lucia. See if we can get signed on these guys. Oh fuck me, that's an Edomite, man. Come on. Right, there we go. Most contributed to the destruction of the Amazon forest. God damn, you already know. Silence proceeded with okay. These are Edomites, man. That's an Edomite, man. There ain't no Jake. That's an Edomite. They're all Edomites, man. They're all Edomites, man. You ain't gonna find nothing else. Let's see if I can look through Batista. Yeah, he's a Portuguese. Yeah, look at this. No number of 10 relatives. Okay, the Albrights. Let's have a look at these guys. Oh, the Brights. Founders, Noberto. There we go. Noberto Oderbright, one of the richest families. He was son of the pioneer Emilio Oderbright and grandson of Emil Oderbright, a German. So it's Germans, man. This is an Edomite, man. Okay, that's how it works. All right. All these people are straight up Edomites, and this is just among the billionaires. It's the same thing when you go among the millionaires, when you go around the upper class. The majority of these people are so-called white Brazilians, man. They're Edomites. They're Edomites. Arc Civiti. Let's have a look. Maybe if I had gone through and looked at the founders for these different Civiti, am I gonna get the actual? Which this already looks like these guys are a bunch of fucking Italians. Alright. Which not every Italian is an Israelite, man. A lot of them Italians are fucking Edomites. Okay, I gotta go to this to see if I can get this. I mean, oh my day. Yeah, they're Edomites. They're all Edomites. Every single last one of them. Okay, I would say are all Edomites. Set the bull. Number 12. There we go. Early life. Portugal. Okay, Portuguese. Edomites, Ark. Alright, let's keep going. Ijo, 7 relatives. They're all Edomites. They are all Edomites. That's who's ruling in Brazil. That's who's making all the money for their overlords over here in Europe. Just gonna finish this off and then we round it up. Come on. it's German. Well, they're Germans. If the company's got that name, then you already know that they're fucking Germans, man. I mean, come on. Daisy Eagle. That's the main one, is it? It's a bitch named Daisy. I hope it's a woman. Oh, God, look at that. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Austrian, okay? They're Austrians. You see? All right? And these ain't no Israelite foreigners, man. These are Edomites. These are Edomites. The Master Dennis Pinidi. Let's have a look at them. All right. I know. Brazilians newest to the blah blah. Forbes. I've got a Wikipedia. One is Forbes. Okay, let's search this guy. The father, the demon. He's got to go into Portuguese to probably find out more on him, but he's probably a Edomite. This is just how it is. Did I get rid of the damn Forbes list? The wrong one. All right. So this is what it takes. You got to do the research, man. You go through things and the point gets proven. It just takes time, man, to look through all this stuff. It takes time, but the point is there. I mean, there ain't much families left. Come on. Right, here we go. Right, who's left on the list? The Pfeffers. Oh boy, you know that. Come on. Should I even look this one up? Let's see what we get. John Pfeffer. Nah, the Pfeffer. No. Brazil. Let's look at Brazil. This is Brazil. Okay, Pfeffer, David Pfeffer. Is this the guy? Brazilian businessman. Is grandson. Okay, Ewan Pfeffers. Who is this guy? Let's see if we could translate this. Google Translate. Okay, enter text. Emigrated from the Ukraine. So I mean, you see the point. The majority of these Brazilians that are even up in that top elite echelon, these families, none of them are from Brazil. None of them are even descendants of the slaves in Brazil. And the same thing goes for the majority of people that are below them in all the top economic statuses. They're all Edomites, man. Now you might get one or two Israelites, in there somewhere, but let's just be real, okay? So I think that proves the point. And this is going to be the same for Mexico, whether it's Colombia, even a lot of these drug lords. They're Edomites, man. They're Edomites. And you got Israelites working for them. And they're making money off the drugs for their masters in Europe. Okay, it is what it is, man. So hopefully this has been edifying, man. Okay. I know brothers, God, but hopefully this has been edifying for you brothers, this case study on Brazil. And like I said, you can apply this information everywhere. So I don't want to, go on for too long. But hey, the point remains, man, that these Edomites, they rule over us. And these other nations, they rule over us. They lord over us, and they're serving themselves of us. Hey, let's finish with that. But a day's gonna come where they shall no more serve themselves of us. Let's get that scripture. Oh, come on, man. I'm glad I was able to bring this out. Hopefully that thing don't mess up. Jeremiah 30:8. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of it. Yeah, in this world, we're basically working, whatever industry you're working in, you're working to make another nation, an Edomite, super wealthy. And you get some crumbs to be compensated for your work to do that. And that's just what it is. Until the Lord save us, okay? So with that, I'm going to say shalom to you Akim out there. Yabba Shem Yashar Brakatam.